Cooling system service. Wynn's cooling system flush service utilizes the Wynn's Power Flush cooling system flush and fill machine and two-part cooling system flush kit. First, cooling system pressure is relieved by disconnecting the overflow hose from the vehicle's radiator neck and inserting the hose from Wynn's Rapid Evacuation Tool, or RET. With shop air attached to the RET and with the two-way valve directed to supply suction to the hose, the trigger is depressed while the radiator cap is slowly turned open. When pressure has been relieved, remove the radiator cap and using the RET, lower the coolant level in the radiator to below the level of the upper radiator hose. Apply pinch pliers to the upper radiator hose and remove the hose from its connection to the radiator. Attach the appropriate size upper radiator hose adapters between the radiator and the upper radiator hose, tightening all hose clamps securely. Connect the braided hose between the upper radiator hose adapters. The female quick connect should be on the adapter on the radiator. Move the pinch pliers to the reattached overflow hose. Add Wynn's radiator flush to the radiator and top off the radiator with coolant from the RET. Attach the radiator cap securely. Check the cooling system capacity guide to determine the correct coolant volume to add to the power flush machine. Attach the electrical leads from the machine to the vehicle's battery. Start the engine and check for leaks. Wait for the thermostat to open, which is indicated by coolant flow in the braided hose between the upper radiator hose adapters, and allow the radiator flush to circulate for at least 10 minutes. Fill the power flush machine with the appropriate 50-50 volume of coolant and water. Attach the female open-ended hose adapter to the service hose. Direct flow into the machine and turn on the power switch. This will purge the service hose of air and mix the coolant and water in the machine. When the coolant and water are properly mixed, remove the female open-ended adapter from the service hose, leaving the power switch on. To begin the coolant exchange, disconnect the hose between the upper radiator hose adapters and connect the service hose from the power flush machine to the female quick connect. Quickly attach the drain hose to the male quick connect, making sure the open end is secured in the waste coolant container. The pump on the power flush machine will cycle on and off at about 15 psi gauge pressure, with the opening and closing of the vehicle's thermostat. When the process complete light illuminates, the coolant exchange is complete. Remove the coolant drain hose and service hose from the upper radiator hose adapters. Turn off the vehicle's engine and turn off the machine. Reattach the drain hose to relieve cooling system pressure and carefully remove the radiator cap. Use the RET to lower the coolant level as before. Remove the upper radiator hose adapters and securely replace the upper radiator hose. Start the engine and slowly pour Wynn's radiator sealant into the radiator. Top off the radiator with coolant, securely attach the radiator cap and check for leaks. The manual will indicate if any special air bleed procedures are required. You have now performed a complete cooling system flush service with the Wynn's Power Flush machine. A second Wynn's cooling system flush service utilizes the Wynn's Power Flush 2 or Power Flush 3 vacuum coolant exchange machines and two-part cooling system flush kit. The Wynn's Power Flush 2 or Power Flush 3 machine is first used to relieve cooling system pressure if the vehicle's cooling system is hot and under pressure. Prepare the machine by attaching a shop air line with an appropriate fitting. The open-ended adapter is attached to the machine's service hose and attached over the radiator overflow nipple after the overflow hose has been detached. With the service hose valve open, the air control valve to vacuum, the service control valve to vacuum exchange, and fluid control valve to the used fluid tank, slowly turn the radiator cap to the first safety stop. Vacuum provided by the machine will draw off cooling system pressure. When the cap is loose, it can be safely removed and additional fluid can be evacuated to allow room for the addition of Wynn's radiator flush. Replace the radiator cap securely and start the vehicle, allowing it to run at idle for at least 10 minutes to remove and suspend cooling system deposits. Turn the vehicle's engine off and relieve cooling system pressure as before. Now fill the machine's new fluid tank with water and antifreeze coolant by inserting the open-ended adapter into a container of water or antifreeze coolant. With the service hose valve open, the air control valve to vacuum, the service control valve to pressure exchange, and the fluid control valve to a new fluid tank, fluid will be drawn into the appropriate tank on the machine. When the appropriate volume has been dispensed into the machine, allow air to be drawn into the tank to thoroughly mix the water and antifreeze coolant. With the radiator cap off, attach the conical rubber adapter to the machine's service hose and insert this adapter into the radiator neck. With the air control valve to vacuum, the service control valve to vacuum exchange, the fluid control valve to used fluid tank, and the service hose valve closed, allow vacuum to build up in the used fluid tank. When a steady reading of 20 millibars of mercury or higher is obtained on the vacuum gauge, open the service hose valve and used coolant will be drawn through the service hose into the machine's used fluid tank. Continue until no more used coolant is flowing through the service hose. Turn the fluid control valve to new fluid tank and the vacuum created in the cooling system will draw in new coolant. When the vacuum gauge reads 0 and the conical radiator is loose, the cooling system is full. Remove the adapter and replace the open-ended adapter on the end of the service. With the air control valve to vacuum, the service control valve to vacuum exchange, the fluid control valve to used fluid tank, and service hose valve open, withdraw about 11 ounces of coolant from the radiator. Then evacuate the coolant overflow reservoir completely. Add Wynn's radiator sealant to the radiator. Refill the coolant reservoir from the machine by turning the vacuum control valve to pressure, the service control valve to pressure exchange, and the fluid control valve to new fluid tank. Turn off the service hose valve when the overflow reservoir is full. Turn on the vehicle's engine and top off the radiator as necessary. And securely replace the radiator cap. Return all valves on the machine to off. You have now performed a cooling system flush service with the Wynn's Power Flush 2-3 machine.